Marcus Thompson made the choice in 4 seconds. Left hallway. Smoke, screaming children, a billionaire's family he'd never met, trapped behind a wall of flames. Right hallway, his radio crackling with his captain's voice, saying words that would haunt him forever. "Thompson, we've got a second alarm. Fire on Maple Street. Your address. His address. His wife. His daughter. His family. 4 seconds to choose who lives and who dies." Marcus went left. He saved 3 strangers that night, carried them through smoke and fire and collapsing ceiling beams, went back twice when his body screamed to stop, got them all out alive, a tech billionaire named David Sterling, his wife Rebecca, their 6-year-old daughter, Emma. When Marcus finally stumbled out of the burning mansion at 11:47 p.m., his captain was waiting with an expression that told him everything. The fire on Maple Street had taken his house. His wife Sarah hadn't made it out. Neither had their 3-year-old daughter, Mia. Marcus had saved 3 lives and lost 2. Done his job perfectly while his family burned. And for the next decade, David Sterling, the man Marcus saved, would spend millions trying to give Marcus a reason not to follow his family into whatever comes after. This is the story of 2 men bound by the worst night of their lives. One who lost everything to save strangers. One who survived only to carry the weight of that loss forever. Some debts can never be repaid, but that doesn't stop people from trying. To understand that night, you need to know what Marcus Thompson had before he lost it all. Marcus was 34 years old. He'd been a firefighter for 8 years with the Riverside Fire Department. Good at his job. Not exceptional, not famous, just solid. The kind of firefighter who showed up, did the work, went home. Home was a small house on Maple Street. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a backyard where he'd built a swing set for Mia. Mortgage payments that were tight, but manageable on his $52,000 salary. His wife Sarah was a nurse at County General. They'd met when Marcus was a probie, and she'd treated a minor burn on his hand. She was beautiful, tough, practical, exactly what Marcus needed. They'd married young, had Mia young, built a life that wasn't glamorous but was theirs. Mia was 3 years old, obsessed with fire trucks, which delighted Marcus and terrified Sarah. Mia had a picture of her daddy's engine on her bedroom wall. She could name all the equipment. She'd tell anyone who'd listen that she was going to be a firefighter when she grew up. Marcus had everything that mattered. Not wealth, not power, just a family that loved him and a job that gave him purpose. On December 3rd, 2013, Marcus kissed Sarah goodbye at 6 p.m. when he left for his shift. Kissed Mia's forehead while she was eating chicken nuggets and watching cartoons. "Be safe," Sarah said. What she always said. "Always am," Marcus replied. What he always replied. He had no way of knowing he'd never see them alive again. The alarm came in at 10:23 p.m. Structure fire at 2847 Hillcrest Drive, the Sterling estate. Marcus knew the address. Everyone in the department did. The Sterling mansion was a local landmark, 12,000 square feet, worth $8 million, owned by David Sterling, the tech entrepreneur who'd made billions selling his company to Amazon, the kind of house that had its own wing for servants. Engine 7 rolled out with Marcus on it. Standard response. Expected to be routine. Wealthy people had good smoke detectors, sprinkler systems, the kind of safety equipment that usually contained fires before they got serious. But when they arrived, the mansion was fully engulfed. Flames punched through the roof. Smoke poured from every window. The heat was so intense Marcus could feel it from the street. Captain Williams started giving orders. "Thompson, Johnson, primary search, west wing. Davis, Lee, east wing. Move!" Marcus pulled on his mask, grabbed his Halligan bar, and went in. The heat was immediate and disorienting. Even through his gear, even with experience, fire this hot was terrifying. Marcus moved by training and instinct, staying low, following the wall. He found them in what looked like a home office. David Sterling had his wife and daughter huddled in a corner, a wet blanket over them, trying to protect them from the smoke. "Fire department!" Marcus shouted. "I'm getting you out!" David looked up, face black with soot, eyes wild with terror, and grabbed Marcus's arm. "My daughter, take her first. I'm taking all of you. Follow me. Stay low. Don't let go." Marcus led them toward the exit, but the fire had other plans. The ceiling in the main hallway collapsed, cut off their primary escape route. Flames everywhere. Smoke so thick Marcus couldn't see his own hands. He'd have to go deeper into the house to find another way out. That's when his radio crackled. "Thompson, we've got a second alarm. Fire on Maple Street. Your address." Marcus froze. For one terrible moment, his brain couldn't process it. His address, his house, Sarah and Mia. "Thompson, did you copy?" Captain's voice. "Copy," Marcus said. His voice sounded distant, disconnected. David Sterling looked at him. Even through the smoke and chaos, he saw something in Marcus's expression. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Follow me." Marcus made the choice in 4 seconds. The family in front of him who he could definitely save, or the family 10 miles away that someone else would reach first. He chose the strangers. Because that was the job. Because that's what firefighters do. Marcus led the Sterling family through smoke and fire, went back for Emma when she panicked and froze, carried her through flames while David and Rebecca followed, got them all to a back exit and into the arms of paramedics. Then Marcus ran to his captain. "The second fire. Engine 12 is handling it. You're needed here." "That's my house. My family is in that house." Captain Williams's face went pale. "Thompson, I need to go. You can't leave a scene. You know that. Engine 12 is there. They'll get them out." But the look in the captain's eyes said what he couldn't. They might already be gone. Marcus stayed because that was the job. Fought the Sterling mansion fire for another 40 minutes. Kept working even as his mind screamed about Sarah and Mia. The Sterling mansion was saved. 60% damaged, but structurally sound. A successful save. When Marcus finally got cleared to leave, his captain drove him to Maple Street. The house was gone, burned to the foundation. Nothing left but ash and the metal frame of Maya's swing set. Engine 12's captain met them at the perimeter. His face told Marcus everything before words could. "I'm sorry, Thompson. We got here as fast as we could. The fire was too far advanced. We found them in the back bedroom. We tried." Marcus didn't remember falling to his knees, didn't remember screaming, didn't remember Captain Williams catching him before he tried to run into the ruins. He just remembered the image that would never leave him. Mia's metal swing set, twisted and melted by heat, still standing in the backyard like a gravestone. The investigation revealed what had happened. Faulty wiring in the Sterling mansion, old knob and tube wiring that should have been replaced years ago, but hadn't been, because the house was historical. It had sparked in the walls around 10 p.m. By the time the smoke detectors went off, the fire had spread through the walls and into the attic. The Sterlings had tried to escape, but got trapped when the main staircase collapsed. Would have died if Marcus hadn't pulled them out. Meanwhile, at the Thompson house on Maple Street, a space heater. Sarah had been using it in Mia's room because the heat wasn't working well. The heater had tipped over, caught the carpet, spread to the walls. The first 911 call came in at 10:47 p.m., 24 minutes after the Sterling mansion alarm. Engine 12 had been delayed by holiday traffic. Arrived at 11:02 p.m. By then, the fire had spread to the bedrooms. Sarah and Mia had been overcome by smoke before the flames even reached them. The medical examiner said they probably never woke up. Small mercy in a story with no mercies. The department offered Marcus trauma leave, paid time off, counseling, support, Marcus took 2 weeks, buried his wife and daughter, stood at their funeral while 200 people told him they were sorry for his loss. Then he went back to work, because work was all he had left. David Sterling found Marcus 3 months after the fire. Marcus was at the firehouse, cleaning equipment. Mindless work, the kind of task that kept his hands busy and his brain from thinking about swing sets and laughter and bedtime stories he'd never read again. A BMW pulled up, expensive, polished. Out stepped David Sterling, 42 years old, successful, alive because Marcus had saved him. Marcus recognized him immediately. Tokompor, could he not? The face he'd seen in smoke and fire, the man who'd begged him to save his daughter first. Captain Thompson? Just Thompson. I'm not a captain. Right. Sorry. David shifted uncomfortably. I'm David Sterling. You saved my family. December 3rd. I remember. Silence. What do you say to someone who saved your life while losing his own family? I wanted to thank you, David finally said, in person, for what you did, for saving Emma and Rebecca and me. You're a hero. Marcus felt something dark and ugly rise in his chest. I'm not a hero. You risked your life. I did my job. And while I was doing my job, my wife and daughter burned to death. Marcus's voice was flat. Dead. So don't call me a hero. Heroes save people. I just chose which people were more convenient to save. David flinched like he'd been hit. Thompson, that's not... You couldn't have... Is there something you need? If not, I have work to do. I want to help, however I can. Money, anything. I don't need your money. Please, let me do something. I can't... David's voice cracked. I can't live knowing my family is alive because yours is dead. Let me help. Marcus looked at this wealthy man with his expensive car and his guilt and his need to fix something that couldn't be fixed. You want to help? Go home to your wife and daughter. Hug them. Don't waste the life I gave you feeling guilty. That's what you can do. Marcus walked away, left David Sterling standing in the firehouse parking lot with his wealth and his survival and his impossible gratitude. But David didn't leave it alone. He never would. Marcus Thompson was dying slowly. Not physically. His body kept functioning, kept showing up to shifts, kept breathing. But something essential had burned away with his family. He moved through days like a ghost, went to work, came home to the apartment the department had helped him find, a 1-bedroom box that smelled like nothing, held nothing, meant nothing, ate food that tasted like cardboard, slept in fits when the nightmares led him. The nightmares were always the same, the hallway in the Sterling mansion, the choice, going left instead of right, saving strangers while Sarah and Mia died alone and terrified. In the nightmares, he chose differently. Chose Sarah and Mia, got to them in time. Except when he did, the Sterling family burned instead. He'd wake up with their screams in his ears. There was no good choice, no timeline where everyone lived, just different versions of guilt. Marcus started drinking. Not on shift, he had that much discipline left. But after. Whiskey until his brain went quiet. Until he could sleep without seeing Mia's swing set melted in the ash. His captain noticed, pulled him aside. Thompson, you need to talk to someone. The counselor. I'm fine. You're not fine. Nobody would be fine. What you went through. I said I'm fine. He wasn't fine. He was barely surviving. And he wasn't sure he wanted to survive. Then the letters started arriving. The first letter came in June, 6 months after the fire. No return address. Handwritten. Marcus almost threw it away unread. Dear Marcus, I know you told me to leave you alone. I'm trying to respect that. But I can't stop thinking about what you lost to save us. I've set up a fund in Sarah and Mia's names. $100,000 for burn victim support and fire safety education. It's not enough. It's nothing compared to what you lost. But maybe some good can come from this terrible thing. I'm sorry. For surviving. For costing you everything. For not being able to fix it. David Sterling. Marcus read it once, then burned it. The next letter came in July, then August, September. Every month, like clockwork. David telling him about the foundation he'd started, about fire safety initiatives he was funding, about scholarships for children of fallen firefighters. Always ending the same way. I can't fix what happened, but I'm trying to honor it. Marcus burned them all, but he read them first. 10 months after the fire, Marcus's captain sat him down for a conversation that was technically optional, but functionally mandatory. Thompson, you're scaring people. You're showing up to shifts drunk. Never drunk on duty. Hungover then. Same difference when you're running into burning buildings. You're taking risks you shouldn't take. Last week you went into that warehouse without a partner, without waiting for backup. The building was clear. You didn't know that. You just didn't care if it wasn't. Captain Williams leaned forward. Marcus, I get it. I can't imagine what you're going through. But you're going to get yourself killed. Or worse, get someone else killed. And I can't let that happen. So what? You're firing me? I'm putting you on administrative leave, mandatory counseling. You come back when the therapist clears you. Marcus felt something that might have been rage or might have been relief. And if I refuse? Then I fire you. Marcus, you're one of my best. But right now, you're a liability. Get help. Come back when you're ready. Marcus walked out, got in his car, drove to a liquor store. He was sitting in the parking lot with a bottle of whiskey, seriously contemplating whether there was any point to any of this, when someone knocked on his window. David Sterling. What the hell are you doing here? Marcus said. Your captain called me. He's worried about you. So am I. My captain doesn't know you. I've been donating to the fire department, safety equipment, training funds. Your captain and I talk sometimes. David opened the passenger door. Can I sit? Can I stop you? David sat, looked at the bottle in Marcus's hands. Planning on drinking that whole thing? That's the idea. And then what? Then nothing. That's the point. They sat in silence for a long moment. My daughter asks about you, David said quietly. Emma. She has nightmares about the fire, about being trapped. And in her nightmares, you're always there, saving her. She drew you a picture. You're wearing your firefighter gear, and you have angel wings. I'm not an angel. No, but you're alive. And that matters. To me, to Rebecca, to Emma, to your whole department, to all the people you'll save in the future if you don't drink yourself to death in this parking lot. You don't understand. You're right. I don't understand losing what you lost. I can't imagine it. But I do understand being alive when you shouldn't be. I understand debt. David's voice was intense. I owe you everything, Marcus. My life. My wife's life. My daughter's life. Every moment I get with them is because you chose to save us instead of my family. Say it. Instead of saving my own wife and daughter. That's not how it works. You didn't choose our lives over theirs. You couldn't have reached them in time. You don't know that. The fire investigation said the blaze on Maple Street started at 10:15 p.m. By the time you even got the call, they were already... Marcus's hand shot out and grabbed David's shirt. Don't you dare tell me they were already dead. Don't take away the choice that destroyed me. David didn't pull away, just looked at Marcus with something that might have been understanding. Okay, you made a choice. You saved us, and it cost you everything. What are you going to do about that? What the hell kind of question is that? Are you going to honor what you did? or waste the rest of your life drinking yourself to death while Emma draws pictures of the angel who saved her. Marcus released him, slumped back in his seat. I don't know how to do this, how to keep living when they're gone. Neither do I, David admitted. But I know you can't do it alone. And I know I owe you a debt I can never repay. So let me try. Let me help. Please. Marcus looked at the bottle in his hands, at the stranger in his passenger seat, at the choice in front of him. What do you want from me? Let me get you into treatment. Real treatment. Not just apartment counseling, but intensive therapy. Grief support. Whatever you need. Let me help you find a reason to keep living. And if there isn't one, then at least you'll have tried. That's all I'm asking. Try. Marcus sat there for a long time, then handed David the unopened bottle. I can't promise I'll get better. I'm not asking for promises, just for you to try. David Sterling paid for 3 months of inpatient treatment at a facility that specialized in PTSD and grief trauma. The kind of place that cost $40,000 a month and had therapists who actually knew what they were doing. Marcus hated every minute of it. Group therapy where he had to listen to other people's trauma. Individual sessions where a doctor named Dr. Sarah Chen asked him questions that felt like knives. Art therapy, music therapy, equine therapy. All of it designed to process grief. Like grief was something you could put through a machine and fix. But slowly, painfully, reluctantly, something started to shift. Dr. Chen didn't try to tell Marcus his choice had been right or wrong, didn't try to absolve him or blame him, just helped him sit with the reality. He'd made the best decision he could with the information he had, and it had cost him everything. You're allowed to regret it, Dr. Chen said. You're allowed to wish you'd chosen differently, but you can't live in that moment forever. Sarah and Mia are gone. You're here. What are you going to do with that? I don't know. Then let's figure it out together. Marcus learned that grief wasn't something you fixed. It was something you carried. Some days lighter, some days crushing, but always there. He learned that survivor's guilt, his, David's, was normal even when it felt insane. He learned that he could think about Sarah and Mia without collapsing, could remember the good times instead of just the fire, could hold both truths. They were gone, and he was still here. After 3 months, Dr. Chen cleared him to return to work. But you keep coming to therapy, weekly sessions, non-negotiable. Marcus agreed. When he left the facility, David was waiting in the parking lot. You didn't have to come pick me up. I know. I wanted to. David handed him an envelope. This came to my house, for you. It was a letter from the fire department. Marcus was being awarded the Medal of Valor for the Sterling Mansion rescue. There would be a ceremony, press coverage, the mayor. Marcus stared at it. I can't accept this. You have to. You earned it. I left my family to die. You saved a family who would have died without you. Both things are true. You have to learn to live with that. Marcus looked at this man, this stranger who'd become something that wasn't quite friend, but wasn't stranger either. This person who'd appointed himself guardian of Marcus's survival. Why? Marcus asked. Why do you care if I live or die? David's answer was simple. Because Emma asks about you. Because you gave me the chance to watch my daughter grow up. Because every day I get with my family is a day you paid for. And because I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make sure that cost wasn't pointless. Marcus Thompson was 47 years old when he finally started to feel like he might survive. He'd been back at work for 18 months, still a firefighter, still showing up, doing the job, but different now. Careful, haunted, changed. He attended Dr. Chen's therapy sessions every Tuesday, went to grief support group on Thursdays, Stayed sober. 2 years, 3 months. Built a life that wasn't happy but was stable. And somewhere along the way, David Sterling had become a fixture in that life. Not a friend, exactly. The power dynamics were too weird for friendship. David had money, resources, guilt. Marcus had survived, barely, and carried the weight of what that survival cost. But they had something, a connection forged in fire and loss and mutual debt. David still sent letters, still funded initiatives in Sarah and Mia's names, the Mia Thompson Scholarship for Children of First Responders, the Sarah Thompson Burn Recovery Fund, programs that helped people Marcus would never meet, bearing the names of people he'd never stop missing. And gradually, David's help had expanded beyond just funding therapy. He'd started asking Marcus questions about fire safety, about first responder needs, about what would actually make a difference. "I want to do this right," David said over coffee one Tuesday after Marcus's therapy session. They'd started meeting weekly. Therapy for Marcus, debriefing for David, something neither could quite explain. "The foundation work. I'm throwing money at problems, but I don't know if it's helping." "It helps," Marcus said. "Scholarships matter. Equipment matters. Training matters. But is there more? Something bigger?" Marcus thought about it, about the ways the system failed, about Engine 12 delayed by traffic while his family burned, about old wiring in mansions that should have been condemned, about space heaters in houses where the heat didn't work because people couldn't afford repairs. "Prevention," Marcus said. "Most fire deaths are preventable. It's not lack of heroes. It's lack of working smoke detectors. It's people using space heaters because they can't afford to fix their furnaces. It's old wiring that landlords won't replace because it's expensive. So what if we fix that?" "You can't fix poverty, David." "No, but I can fund smoke detector installation programs. I can subsidize furnace repairs for low-income families. I can push for building code enforcement." David leaned forward. "What if we started a real prevention initiative, not just throwing money at the problem, but actually solving it? That's ambitious. I've got the money, you've got the expertise, and we've both got reasons to want fewer families to go through what ours did." Marcus looked at him. "You said we." "Yeah, I did. You can't just be a firefighter forever, Marcus. You're too good at seeing the systems, too smart to just run into burning buildings. Work with me. Help me build something that actually prevents fires instead of just responding to them." "I'm not a businessman." "Good. I don't need another businessman. I need someone who understands what we're actually trying to prevent." Marcus thought about it, about Sarah and Mia, about whether preventing other families from experiencing that loss would make his own less pointless. What would this look like? You tell me. Over the next year, Marcus and David built something unprecedented. The Sterling Prevention Initiative, a $100 million program focused on eliminating preventable fire deaths in low-income communities. Marcus designed the programs. David funded them. Together, they created free smoke detector installation in 50,000 homes, subsidized furnace and heater repair programs, electrical safety inspections and remediation, fire safety education in schools, first responder equipment, grants, building code enforcement advocacy. Marcus threw himself into the work. It gave him purpose beyond surviving, made his expertise matter, turned his loss into something that could prevent others from experiencing the same nightmare. He traveled to communities, met families, installed smoke detectors in homes where kids slept unprotected, saw the difference intervention could make. And slowly, so slowly he barely noticed, Marcus started to heal. Not get over it. Never that. Sarah and Mia would always be gone. The choice he'd made would always haunt him. But he found ways to honor them, ways to make his survival mean something. David saw the change. "You're doing good work," It's not enough. It never will be. But it matters. They were in David's home office, reviewing program data. The Sterling mansion had been rebuilt. Smaller, safer, with every modern fire prevention system available. Emma was 13 now. Still had nightmares sometimes. Still drew pictures of firefighters. "Can I show you something?" David asked. He pulled out a folder. Inside, letters. Dozens of them. From families whose homes had been equipped with smoke detectors. From kids who'd learned fire safety in schools. From people who were alive because of the programs Marcus had designed. "They're all addressed to you," David said. "To the Sterling Prevention Initiative. People who want to say thank you." Marcus read them. One from a mother whose smoke detector had saved her family from a space heater fire. One from a child who'd remembered stop, drop, and roll and saved his little brother. One from a grandfather whose furnace had been fixed before it could leak carbon monoxide. Lives saved by prevention, by the work that grew from the worst night of his life. "This is what you've built," David said quietly. "This is what Sarah and Mia's names are connected to. Not just the tragedy, but this." Marcus couldn't speak, just held the letters and cried for the first time in years without feeling like he was drowning. The Sterling Prevention Initiative expanded nationally. Chapters in 15 cities. Thousands of homes protected. Measurable reduction in fire deaths in target communities. Marcus became the public face of it. Did interviews. Told his story. The parts he could bear to tell. Became an advocate for fire prevention and first responder support. And somewhere in that work, Marcus Thompson found something like peace. Not happiness, not forgetting, but purpose. He still went to therapy, still attended the support group, still marked December 3rd every year by visiting Sarah and Mia's graves. But he also worked, created, helped families stay safe, prevented deaths, and he did it alongside David Sterling, the man he'd saved who'd spent years saving him back. "Do you ever regret it?" David asked one night, working late in the office they now shared. "Regret what?" "Saving us. Choosing us instead of..." Marcus thought about it. The question he'd asked himself 10,000 times. Every single day. And never. Both at the same time. That doesn't make sense. "No, but it's true." Marcus leaned back. "I wish Sarah and Mia were here. I wish I'd chosen differently. I wish the universe had given me a choice where everyone lived. But I also see what we've built, the families we've saved, the work that grew from that night. I can't regret that. Even though it cost you everything, even though, maybe because." Marcus met David's eyes. "You asked me once what I was going to do about the choice I made. This is it. This is me honoring it, making it count for something." December 3rd, 2023. 10 years since the fire. Marcus Thompson was 44 years old, director of the Sterling Prevention Initiative, a nationally recognized expert in fire prevention. Sober for 9 years, still in therapy, still carrying grief, but alive, purposeful, surviving. The initiative had grown beyond anything he'd imagined. 50 cities, 500,000 homes equipped with safety systems, partnerships with fire departments nationwide, annual budget of $50 million, and measurable results, a 40% reduction in fire deaths in their target communities. Hundreds of lives saved through prevention. Every life saved was an answer to the question Marcus had asked himself for 10 years. Was it worth it? He still didn't know. David Sterling sat beside him in the car, driving to the cemetery where Sarah and Mia were buried. They did this every year, a ritual neither discussed but both honored. "Emma wants to meet you," David said. "I mean, really meet you. She's 16 now, old enough to understand what happened, what you did." "I don't know if that's a good idea." "She asks about you, about why you look sad sometimes when we're working, about the choice you made. David pulled into the cemetery. She wants to thank you herself. Marcus got out, walked to the graves, simple markers, names and dates, beloved wife and mother, and precious daughter. He stood there like he did every year, told them about the work, about the families saved, about whether any of it mattered. "I miss you," he said, like always. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." David stayed by the car, giving Marcus space, giving him time. After an hour, Marcus came back. "Tell Emma okay. She can meet me." "Yeah?" "Yeah. She deserves to know the whole story, not just the hero version." Emma Sterling was 16, tall, brilliant, fierce. She had no memory of the fire. She'd been 6, and trauma had erased most of that night. But she'd grown up knowing that Marcus Thompson had saved her life. They met at a coffee shop, neutral ground. Emma insisted on buying the coffee, a gesture that made Marcus smile despite himself. "Thank you for meeting me," Emma said. "I know this is probably weird." "Little bit." "I wanted to ask you something, and I want you to be honest." She looked at him directly. "Do you wish you'd let us die, so you could save your family instead?" Marcus appreciated the directness. "Yes, every day. But you didn't. You saved us." "Why?" "Because I didn't know they were dying. I knew you were, and I couldn't let that happen when I could prevent it." He paused. "But also because I'm a firefighter, and firefighters don't get to choose who to save based on who they love. We save everyone we can." "Even when it costs everything?" "Even then." Emma was quiet for a moment. "I have nightmares still, about being trapped, about smoke. And in my nightmares, you're always there, pulling me out, saving me. I wanted you to know that matters, that you didn't just save my life, you saved my ability to not be terrified all the time." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Your dad said you drew pictures." "When I was little, yeah. You had angel wings." She smiled. "I know better now. You're not an angel. You're just a person who did an impossible thing. But that makes it more meaningful, not less. Your life isn't worth less than theirs, Emma. Don't ever think that. But theirs weren't worth less than mine either. No, they weren't." Marcus looked at this child he'd saved, now nearly an adult. "So what are you going to do with the life I gave you?" "Dad says you and he started the prevention initiative to honor your family, to prevent other people from going through what you did." "That's right. I want to help. I'm going to study fire science, engineering, prevention systems. I want to spend my life making sure fewer people have to make the choice you made." Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in 10 years, something like pride. "That's a good use of a life. It's the only use that makes sense. You gave it to me. The least I can do is make it count." 11 years after the fire, Marcus sat in Dr. Chen's office for what had become a ritual check-in. "How are you?" she asked. "Complicated." "Always. But specifically today?" "I was thinking about the question you asked me in treatment, about what I was going to do with being alive." "And?" "I think I found an answer. Not a perfect one, but an answer." Marcus leaned back. "I built something. With David. With Emma. With all the families we've helped. I turned the worst night of my life into something that prevents other worst nights. Does that make it worth it? No. Nothing makes losing Sarah and Mia worth it. But it makes my survival meaningful instead of just tragic. That's something. What would Sarah think about what you've built?" Marcus smiled despite the pain. "She'd tell me I'm working too much, that I need to date, that I should have more in my life than just work and grief. And what would you tell her? That I'm doing the best I can, that I loved her and Mia, that I'm sorry, and that I'm trying to honor them by making sure fewer people lose what I lost. Marcus Thompson is 50 years old now, still director of the Sterling Prevention Initiative, still in therapy, still sober, still missing Sarah and Mia every single day, but also alive, working, making a difference. The initiative has expanded to 100 cities, protected over 1 million homes, saved countless lives through prevention. David Sterling remains his partner in this work, and something like a friend, the man Marcus saved who spent a decade saving him back. Emma Sterling is in college now, studying fire protection engineering, planning to join the initiative after graduation, and Marcus goes to the cemetery every December 3rd. Tells Sarah and Maya about the work, about the lives saved, about whether any of it makes the choice he made less terrible. It doesn't. Nothing does. But it makes his survival purposeful. And that's what Sarah would have wanted, for him to keep living, keep helping, keep mattering. The question that haunts Marcus, did he make the right choice? He still doesn't know. Maybe he never will. But he knows this. He made a choice that saved 3 people. Lost 2 people he loved, more than life itself. And spent the next decade turning that loss into prevention that saved thousands. Some debts can never be repaid. Some losses never stop hurting. Some choices never become clearly right or wrong. But you keep living anyway. Keep working. Keep honoring the people you lost by making their deaths mean something. That's all anyone can do. Marcus Thompson saved the Sterling family. David Sterling saved Marcus. Together, they've saved thousands more. And Sarah and Mia's names are connected not just to tragedy, but to lives protected, families kept whole, children who'll never know the terror of fire because someone cared enough to prevent it. That doesn't fix what was broken, but it's something. And some days, that's enough.